All right. Good morning. Welcome to Community Connections. I'm Dawn Lowe, Executive Director for the Greensburg-Decatur County Chamber, and I am alongside Megan Fitzsimmons of Megan's Amazing Adventures. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to do a couple of updates for the Chamber before we dive in deep with all things travel. We are actually live on YouTube here. We are going to be live on YouTube with the Chamber. So for those who are listening, you can always go back and listen to the recordings for the Community Connections on YouTube and catch up on whatever you missed. And if you've got any questions along the way, great place to go back and play those back and then reach out to any of our offices for any further information. Coming up for the Chamber, we have got a lunch and learn that is scheduled for Tuesday, May 13th with Purdue Extension. We are so close to selling this event out that we have had to move rooms. So typically we do our lunch and learns in the conference room of the Chamber, and because of interest and because of how full that room is getting, we have actually transitioned that. We're going to be in the multi-purpose room at Greensburg City Hall. Purdue Extension is going to talk about food insecurity, and I'll tell you what, I've gotten a little bit of a brief overlook as to what they're going to be talking about. It's going to be impactful. It's going to be powerful. And there's actually going to be a panel that is going to be involved with that. So if you are interested in that lunch and learn, it is free to attend for Chamber members, only $10 for members. Purdue Extension has written for a grant to provide lunch that day. And I believe that she's having it catered maybe through someone in our downtown district. I don't want to say because I don't want to speak incorrectly there, but it's going to be a really great, really insightful lunch and learn. So that is Tuesday, May 13th from noon to 1. If you are still interested, like I said, because we are moving locations and moving that to the multi-purpose room, there's plenty of seating available. We would definitely encourage that you call our office, 812-663-2832, and we can get you signed up. Then on Thursday, May 15th, we've got a busy week next week. We've got an HR Power Hour. So our Q2 HR Power Hour is entitled Stronger Together, How Partnerships Can Ease the Healthcare Burden. I'll tell you what, there is a lot of talk happening right now on House Bill 1004, and I believe that just got signed in Tuesday, if I'm not incorrect on that, which would be yesterday. Governor Braun signed that House Bill 1004. And so DCMH's CEO, Rex McKinney, is going to take a deep dive alongside Forrest Williamson, and they're going to take a deep dive into what exactly does that say, what does that mean for us here locally, what does that mean for our local hospital. And then talk about different ways that your business, your organization can partner with the hospital. And I'll tell you, we were just on the phone together this morning in a meeting, and we were talking about all of the setbacks, all of the hurdles that our local hospital is seeing. And he's going to be really transparent about that. He's going to really talk about, the different things that they have or are encountering due to some of those changes legislatively. So we're going to talk and listen to Rex. If you have any amount of employees in your business, this would be a good one to attend. Typically, our HR Power Hours are anywhere from $15 to $25 for attendance. This one is completely free. So thanks to a grant from Decatur County Memorial Hospital, we're going to be offering the HR Power Hour on Thursday, May the 15th for free. That is 11:30 to 1. If you have any questions about that or that lunch and learn, please call our office. Again, that number is 812-663-2832. And that leads me right into our next large event. The Women in Business Conference is quickly approaching. That is June 12th. That date has been moved up a couple of weeks this year, so we are like within a month of My Impact happening. So the theme for this year is My Impact. We've got our keynote speakers are locked in. We've got their presentations on deck. It is going to be a great day. We just sold our last vendor space, I think just this morning. So it's going great, and we're super excited. And Megan, you are actually a part of the Women in Business Conference.
Yes.
Are you signed up for this year?
I am, yes.
You're going to be back, and you've got a vendor table locked in, I believe.
Yes.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit, since we're talking about women in business, tell me a little bit about what that specific experience was like for you last year.
Yeah, it's a great experience. It's just connecting and making those, connections and relationships and just getting the word out about our business, because We're actually based in Batesville, but we do a ton of business in Greensburg area. So it's just very empowering.
Yeah, you had, if I remember correctly, you had a screen set up and you were flipping through some vacation destination pictures. And I was watching social media over the course of the last couple of days, and I think you just booked a trip for a couple of couples. Remind me where that was
Yes,
again.
it was Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Yep.
And they are going for
spring break next year.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So booking early is always the best. Deals, pricing, the longer you wait to book, the price keeps increasing. So it's just really good to start looking at next spring break and even summer.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a deep dive into that. So again, that was a little bit more information on the Women in Business Conference. If you have not signed up yet, we do still have tickets available. We are selling out quickly, though, so be sure to check our website for more information on that. You can go to greensburgchamber.com. So Megan, tell us just a little bit first before we get into Megan's amazing adventures about you and where you started with this business.
Yeah, so Megan's Amazing Adventures started in November 2022. I had been in corporate sales for many, many years, and unfortunately, there was a company-wide layoff, and so I lost my job, and I've never been through that before.
Yeah.
So it was a first. I just knew that I didn't want to go back into corporate sales. So I kind of started brainstorming different occupations that I thought would be meaningful and something that I would enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
And travel agency just kept coming up and coming up. And so after a lot of research and, searching how to get a travel agency started, I decided to go for it mainly because I love traveling myself and planning the travel for my family. So that's kind of how that all started.
Which is so interesting because I am the complete opposite of you. I love to go, but I don't want to do all the back end work. So I need people like you to help me get started. I'm like, I know where I want to go and I know a couple of things that I want to do. But if you could just set that itinerary for me, then I'll do whatever.
Right. And that's really all we need is a destination or a couple destinations, what you kind of want to do. And we ask a lot of other questions to really get to know you and what you're wanting. But it's a very stress-free process.
Okay. So the business is growing. It's not just you. Talk a little bit about what that looks like internally.
Yeah. So we have 3 agents, myself, Alex, and Lauren. And between the 3 of us, we really are able to handle any type of trip. So if you're looking to just stay in the United States, we have someone. Alex actually works on East Coast travel. Lauren works on road trips and national parks. And then, so each one of us really specializes in certain things. Myself, I usually take the all-inclusives, the cruises, Alaska and Hawaii, as well as Europe. Lauren is actually our group and corporate specialist. So if there's any businesses out there that have incentive trips or things like that for their sales teams, Lauren is our go-to for that. So please reach out. And then Alex is our Disney and Universal specialist, as well as the East Coast, like I mentioned.
Now, how do you get to be a specialist in those areas?
So we do a lot of training, traveling to those destinations because traveling,
the perks of the job.
Right. That is a perk. We do pay for those trips. They're not free, but we go so that we know, going to those destinations really sets us apart. I mean, we can't sell a destination if we're not confident and know the ins and outs of that. So that is truly why we travel, just to have that expertise. But trainings, going in destination is really how we specialize.
And that's interesting. I was actually going to ask how you know so much about all these places, and it's truly because you've been there.
Yes. Yeah, I travel a lot. My husband likes to joke that he should file his taxes as single because I'm gone so much. But he also gets to enjoy some of those perks as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what does that process look like? You can use me as an example. I want to go on a trip, but that's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah.
What do I need to do?
The first step would be to visit our website. So that's www.megan'samazingadventures.com. And then in the task or on our website, there's a link that says request proposal. It's a very short form that you fill out, just basic information such as your name, your email address, phone number, and then just a brief description of kind of what you're looking for. That triggers the whole process. It gets sent to us. And then based on where you want to go, I send it to the correct agent, and then that agent will reach out to you within 24 hours. And then really start the process from there, gathering information and all of that kind of stuff. And then from there, we send you a proposal that has several different options.
Okay.
We go over that with you. You choose what you want to go with. We book it on your behalf. And then, we're really there for you from the beginning, during the trip, and after as well.
I think when we had talked, you just mentioned during the trip and after as well, when we had originally talked, you were dealing with a situation, if I remember correctly. I don't remember the specifics of the situation, but I just remember that something was happening with that person in their trip, and there was discrepancy, and I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what it was, but
I'm guessing you're talking about, so I actually this happens a lot. I mean, no matter how much we can plan and be prepared, you always have to, kind of, pack your patience, because things can happen. Flights can get delayed. Flights can get canceled. But I think the one you're really talking about is I had a client in Santorini that became very ill and actually almost died. And I get very emotional because it was a very stressful time for them and for myself.
Sure.
But I'm there for people 24/7 when they're traveling. Yeah. So no matter what happens, I wake up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and I answer those calls, and I help you get to where you're going or help in those situations.
And so for that specific example, what was your role, and what were some of the things that were requested of you specifically?
Right. So just finding what a good hospital was.
Okay.
Healthcare in other countries is not like our healthcare here. I'm a huge advocate of having travel protection. A lot of people think, I don't really need it because I don't plan on canceling this trip. Well, that's not really all that it entails.
Gotcha.
It also includes medical coverage. Based on the plan that you buy. So really getting in touch with the travel protection provider, because they had a policy, and to get her the care that she needed. And then on the way home, we actually were able to fly her home in not a comfort, like a first class seat where they could lay down and sleep.
Wow.
So just things like that.
Absolutely.
And really like trying to get her off of Santorini because it's a small island and we wanted to get better care. So just coordinating all of that stuff.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people realize the extent to which you are like truly involved.
Yes.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm always on call.
Yeah.
Always. Even when I'm on these trips or a true family vacation, I'm working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, take us through. So you said that you just booked somebody for spring break 2026. And when is a good time to start beginning? I know you said the earlier the better, but give me some time frames.
So as far as cruising goes, truly the earlier the better. The pricing is always at the lowest. You can usually book out a year and a half to 2 years in advance for cruising. So I've been working on a lot of Alaskan cruises for summer of next year. So that's what a lot of my open leads are right now. However, all-inclusives, that would be about 9 months prior. So that's about when airfare becomes available. Anything before that, we could book the hotel or resort only and then add airfare in later. But it's kind of nice to wait to see the whole picture, because airfare prices fluctuate, and it's just good to have like a whole package price.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And Megan, I have 4 kids. I have 2 in college. I can't afford an all-inclusive. I can't afford an Alaskan cruise. What are my options? But I want to go.
Right.
I want to go. I want to do all the things. What are my options?
Yeah. Surprisingly, there are affordable options for larger families, even all-inclusives, maybe just going 5 nights instead of 7 nights, or staying somewhere in the United States, although there's no true all-inclusives in the United States. Well, there's one in Florida and some out west, like dude ranches. But outside of that, maybe just getting a house on the beach or something like that. But we definitely go over your budget. And if it's something that's just not feasible, we let you know that and try to find a different solution for you.
Is there an option to maybe pay over an extended period of time?
Yeah, that's
to
a
kind
good
of break
point.
That down a little?
Yeah, so when we book travel, there's always a deposit due at booking, and that locks in your rate and your trip. And then there's always a final payment date. So say you book in a year in advance, you have typically on cruises about 60 to 90 days prior to the cruise to have your final payment in. But we give you that information in that date, but you can make payments whenever you want for however much you want in between the deposit and final payment date.
That's awesome. So we can kind of customize that with what we have going on in life.
Yes,
with
absolutely.
our current bills and things like that.
Yes.
So what are the popular things right now? What are we looking at? What are you booking?
So I would say there's really 4 that come to mind. So all-inclusive is definitely our top seller. And I think that's because of the ease, right?
Sure.
You get one package price, and that includes your airfare, your resort, your food, your alcohol, transfers to and from the airport. So it's kind of just a very mindless trip, and there's so many beautiful destinations. So that's definitely the top one. Alaska has been a very hot one here lately, and there's different ways that you can travel Alaska. So one being, just a cruise where you stop at ports and you get off and you do an excursion, you get back on and you go on to the next one. That's a really good option. They leave out of Seattle, Vancouver, and some ports in Alaska. Another option, which is my personal favorite, is a cruise tour. So that's going to be an option where you can do the cruise, a 7-day cruise or longer, do the ports, but then you're also extending that and going deeper into Alaska, going to Denali National Park and riding the train. So that's a really good option. Those options typically are 10 days or more. And then the last option, which I have a lot of couples going this summer, is just a land only. And that's where we've booked a train that takes them really deep into Alaska. And at each stop, spend a couple days, go out and do some excursions and things like that. So
why is
that's
Alaska
really
so popular?
I don't know. I don't know if it's because people are a little worried to go out of the country right now. It's just we've really seen a huge uptick in it. But it's beautiful. I mean, the landscapes and the wildlife. My family and I are going this June on a 12-day trip. So we're really excited to experience that. And then another one is national trips. So that again is Lauren, who you would work with. And that's really just a nice trip to be able to go to a lot of national parks in one trip. And then I would say Europe is always going to be a big one for us. So, you have your typical, there's different ways to travel Europe as well. I personally have been on a river cruise on the Danube, and I feel like that's the best way to experience Europe, because on our trip, we got to visit 5 different countries in one 7-day trip.
Oh, wow.
How many times can you say that? Yeah, cruises, you go to different ports, but typically not that many on a 7-day. So it's just really cool to learn about their culture and their histories, and your food's included and your alcohol's included. And the price might be a little bit higher, but it also includes your excursion. So unlike a ocean cruise, you're paying for your cruise, but then you have to add on your drink package and your Wi-Fi.
It'll get you.
And your excursion. So it adds up, and it really kind of amounts to the same. This river cruise is this amount, but this is all that comes with it. So definitely I would say those 4 destinations are really our top ones right now.
Okay, interesting. And why is it beneficial to book with someone like you? What sets you apart from either other agencies or doing it a different way?
Yeah, so I definitely think the biggest thing is personal touch. As you can tell in my voice when I was talking about that story, we truly do care.
Yeah.
Our clients are like our family, and I am there for you all the time. So if you go and you book directly, you're more than likely going to get the exact same pricing as we do. However, you're getting a lot more, right? So when you go and you book online, You book, you get your confirmation, and that's that. You don't hear from anyone else. With us, we send you final documents in the mail with a little gift 3 weeks prior to get you prepared for your trip. We check in with you 3 days prior to make sure there's no last minute questions. I always check in with them in destination just one time, a quick hi, hey, is everything going well? And then when you return as well. So I just truly think it's the personal touch and just the service that we provide.
So we all have that one trip experience story, and this I do have a story. It was not through a travel agent. We were just doing this on our own. Car broke down on the way. Ran out of gas on the way, had to get a rental car on the way, got to the destination that we were headed to, and one of the people I was with had forgotten, it was a cruise, had forgotten her birth certificate. I mean, you just compounded like 4 problems into like a 24-hour time span.
Yes.
And it was the most stressful like start to that vacation. We had a great time in the end. So tell me, like, do you have a funny or an unusual travel experience story?
Yeah, I mean, again, things happen. Flights are canceled, delayed. People miss their cruises. We've had that happen. However, we were able to fly one family to San Juan and jump on the cruise from there. They even did everything I recommended by going the day before. Flying in the day of a cruise is not recommended. It's doable, but again, you have a delay and you're not going to make your cruise more than likely. So flying in the day before gives you a little buffer, and that's what this family did. However, their flight just kept getting delayed, and then no more were going out that night. And so the next morning, we rebooked them, and we think everything's great. You're going to make it. It's okay. It's an early flight. Well, no, again, delay. And they actually didn't make their cruise. So really stressful situation. But that's where I came in, and I'm like, let me call the cruise line and see what I can do. Let's see if we can get you to the next port. Well, it worked out, and we got their flights there. We got a hotel before they could get on. So it all worked out. Yes, it was stressful, but things happen. And you mentioned cruising with a birth certificate. So that is a good point. You don't have to have a passport to cruise. It is recommended because you are going to other countries, and heaven forbid you're on an excursion and you don't make it back to the cruise ship. You're stuck in a country and you're not going to get back without a passport. So then you have to go through the process of getting an emergency one and everything. So it is recommended, but it is not required. I sent a lot of people without passports, but you would have to have your original birth certificate to be able to do that. And it's only cruises that are called closed looped. So that meaning it starts in the United States and it ends in the United States.
Right.
So there's just a lot of things like that you might not know, but we're experts in these things, so we do know the ins and outs. And kind of pivoting on that, a lot of destinations, your passport has to be valid for 6 months past when you're traveling. And a lot of people don't know that. And I've heard stories and seen stories on Facebook where a family's going on a trip and they need a passport, and they're at the airport and they're being denied because their passport was going to expire within that 6 months, and they were denied and could not go, and they didn't have travel protection, and so they lost this whole trip.
Okay, so wait, say that again for
so
those
like
in the
if
back.
you're traveling, let's say this June to Jamaica, your passport would have to be valid 6 months after June.
I did not know that.
Yes, a lot of people don't know that. So that's something when we book, we look at the expiration date and make sure that it's going to be okay and valid.
Is there a reason for that?
I don't know the
like,
reason.
What's the point
I mean,
of
I
the
feel
expiration date?
right. I feel like it. Yeah, you have an expiration date. Why wouldn't it work? I don't know why. I just know that it is a thing, and you can be denied.
Is that
So
anywhere that you travel?
international, a lot of countries are like that. There's some that aren't. I wouldn't be able to like list those, but it's definitely something that we would check on before if it was going to expire within 6 months, we would do the research and figure out
reason
what.
to have a travel agent right there, because Megan knows, and I would never have known that.
Yeah.
And I did book. Now ours was starting in the United States, finishing in the United States cruise. And I knew that you could do the birth certificate versus the passport, but I would not have known that.
And again, if you just had a copy of your birth certificate, you would get denied. You have to have that original birth certificate that has the seal on it.
Interesting. Okay, so those are like all the worst experiences. What is your favorite? What's your favorite trip you've ever been on?
My personal favorite trip, oh gosh, that's kind of really hard for me, but I think one that really stands out is the Big Island of Hawaii. So I specialize in Hawaii travel, and that is my personal favorite island. We went in spring, right after COVID, I believe. I don't know. I know we had to get tested and everything and wear the mask and everything. But our family is really not a family that likes to just veg by the beach and pool. We like that occasionally, but we're explorers. So the Big Island is just amazing, and it has so much to see. So there's a volcano national park, and there's rainforest and waterfalls and black sand beaches and green sand beaches. So there's just a ton there. And we definitely kept really busy on that trip. The baby whales were starting to migrate, but we were able to see several of those on the beach breaching. It was just a really cool experience for our kids and myself. And then the other one I would say was the river cruise on the Danube. But this year I'm going back on the Danube. We have a group trip, so we've been doing this bucket list one time a year trip that that we promote, and then anyone can sign up and travel with us. So we actually travel with you. And sometimes people think, oh, I don't want to go on a group. I don't want to have to be by people I don't know and things like that. But really, yes, we're traveling here together, but you get to go do your own thing. It's not like we're going to be holding hands and, doing everything together. So if you're a single, or you just don't really feel comfortable going with your partner to, an international trip, we do those once a year. So this year is on the Danube, so I'm going back there. And then I'm also in October going on the Rhine. So that's through Switzerland and Germany.
Oh, I bet it's
so that one's, I'm really excited about that. Next year, our group trip is to Iceland. There's still, I think, 4 or 5 spots left on that one. It's a cruise with Celebrity, and we will fly there to Iceland and then get on the cruise and circle the whole island.
Wow.
So it's it's very reasonable for a couple, $5,000. That's without airfare, but you got to think that. These are bucket list trips, so the prices are going to be a little bit higher, but they're things that you're once in a lifetime thing.
Did I see a promotion from you guys where you said, give me a budget, let us book it, and you'll figure out the destination?
Yes, so
once
that's
you get
brand
there?
new. Yes.
So cool.
Adventures Unknown is what it's called. We just launched this within the last month. You go to our website, you fill out the form. There's tons of questionnaires so that we kind of know what you're like and what you're wanting. But we do all the booking without you knowing exactly where you're going. So there's an option to find out, do you want to find out where you're going a week prior, 3 days prior, or do you want to find out at the airport?
That would be crazy.
And so we haven't had any takers on it yet, but I think it's such a great idea. I'm such a planner, so I don't even know if I could do it myself. But man, I hope someone takes us up on that, because I think it would be such a fun little thing.
Oh, and I please document the reaction when they find out where they're going.
Yes,
what
we
the
definitely will.
Is. I think that's really cool. Okay, so the elephant in the room is we can book trips on our own. You said that. You told us about the perks and the benefits. We can also book through you. You told us the benefit of doing such. What does it cost to book through you? What is that?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't understand or realize, I guess, that we don't cost anything extra. So to use our services is free. Again, you book online, you could get the same pricing as we do. A lot of times, since I'm with a host agency and there's over 5,000 agents within this host agency, we get some buying power, and we can get some extra perks added, or $50 onboard credit, or an extra right now for all inclusives. If you book by tomorrow, I can get up to $150 off. So there's just little things like that. Booking direct, you're not going to get.
Right.
But those things add up, right?
Yeah,
and so I think I kind of lost my train of thought, but there's definitely perks there.
Yeah, perks with you said no cost.
Yes, so no cost. However, we do have a $50 planning fee. That is basically a retainer for our time and our expertise because just to be transparent, we're not paid until our clients return from their trip. So we're doing a lot of back end work, research, hours of putting these things together, booking, making payments every month for people. All these things and all these hours go into this trip. And so that's kind of, again, just a retainer just to make sure that you are serious about this trip. Obviously, things happen, things change, and you might not be able to go. If that's the case and you don't end up booking with us, we keep the $50 for our time. However, if you do book, we apply that $50 to your trip. So truly, there's no cost. As long as you book with us, we apply it and there's nothing there. So.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't think, I didn't know that. So that's very interesting. You would have thought it would have been built into that package.
Yeah, so we get paid from our supplier. So you take a Royal Caribbean cruise. If you book directly, they're keeping all of those funds. If you book through a travel agent, they share some of those commissions with us.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it does not affect you at all.
Yeah. Well, we are actually running out of time, so I'm going to do one last question. And we have already talked about your favorite locations. Do you have a favorite success story of a client that you have worked with?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, but I think something that sticks out to in my head was like this multi-generational family. It was a family of 14 that went to Hawaii for a big milestone anniversary, and when they were, we booked everything from luau's to zip lining to whale watching, all these things. It was such a cool trip, and them getting back and posting pictures and just seeing how happy they were. I mean, really is so fulfilling. And then also tons of people getting engaged on trips that we planned. It's like, that's so cool. Yeah.
Very neat. I helped with that.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool. Well, how can people reach you? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we're on social media. So we have a Facebook and Instagram page. We have a website. Again, that's probably the best way to start the process is going there. But you can message us on social media. You can email us, and you can obviously give us a call as well.
Awesome. Well, I want to hear about the first trip that is the unknown experience.
Yes,
I'm excited.
We definitely will.
I think that's genius. And then you'll be at the Women in Business Conference. So anyone who is attending that, Megan will have a booth there, and you can talk to her directly, one-on-one, face-to-face at that conference. Again, that's June the 12th. So thank you for being a member of the GDC
again.
Chamber. You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Super insightful. I'm ready to go somewhere, and I don't know, maybe I'm a good candidate for the unknown. Have you been on a trip, Emily?
I love to travel.
Okay.
The unknown thing has got me totally intrigued, though.
I know. I'm like,
But do you tell them because I could go to the airport and not know where I'm going, but how do I know what to pack? Are you gonna give me weather?
We give you packing lists, instructions, and things like that. So there's a whole process. But you're gonna tell us, do you like the beach or do you like mountains? If you like both, okay, then it's a real surprise. But we know where you're going, so we would send tips and packing list and things like that.
Sounds fun.
I do too. And I am that way. Like, I kind of like to do things last minute. I like to be very structured and planned, but at the same time, I don't do it till the very end, right? So I think that would fit me well.
I don't like to plan. Like, I'll go anywhere, but I want somebody else to do it.
Exactly.
Like, I'll go. You just tell me how much money and you take care of the rest of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
all right.
very insightful, though. Lots of tips I had no idea about today.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you,
Awesome.
Megan.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. Thanks for being on Community Connections.
All right. We will see you in a couple weeks, right?
Sounds great.